remove the trigger bar, be aware of the trigger spring located on the right side in the video here. That trigger spring wants to unwind in the clockwise direction. So what you want to do is take your finger and grab the spring and hold it down while you remove the trigger bar. As soon as it comes out, you can ease off on the spring and let it rest against the upper edge of the guide. Taking a close look at the trigger bar, on mine along this edge I had some burrs that I had to remove because they did some damage to the frame. You can find some burrs by rubbing a Q-tip across the edges. It'll leave some fine cotton fibers that show up quite well where all these burrs are located. Then you can take a ceramic stone and stone the edges down to make them smoother. While you stone, make sure that you don't contact that portion of the trigger bar that comes in contact with the hammer block. It's quite easy to remove the hammer. The little pin that holds the hammer in place almost falls out on its own. It's very loose fit and is not a tapered pin. Taking a close look at the hammer, you'll note that the shiny spots are where the hammer contacts the slide, and you might want to take a stone to these shiny areas just to smooth them out. And while you're at it, you might want to buff the slide where the hammer comes in contact with the slide. After you're finished buffing and smoothing out burrs, you can replace the hammer. Make sure you orient the hammer correctly. That was cute. A little hammer pin rolled right out towards me. And it goes back in very easily. It's not a tapered pin. To replace the trigger bar, grab a hold of the trigger spring and pull it down. Set the trigger bar back in place. On the left end, make sure that the pin holding the hammer in place extends through the frame far enough that it catches the trigger bar. Now we're getting ready to put the frame pins back in, and make sure you check each end of the frame retainer pins, because you want the smaller end to go in first, and this is going to go in on the left side of the polymer frame. Insert the metal frame inside the polymer handle, and the right hand end is going to stay raised a little bit. The front end will set in there such that you can put the retaining pin back in. On the left side, small end first, press fit. And on the other end, we're going to take and remove that pin, but first place your finger just in front of the hammer and pull the pin and push down with your finger, and that will seat the metal frame. Note that the hammer sticks up in the air. That's where it should be. Place the retaining pin into the frame and take the hammer and seat the retaining pins. We're going to now retension the hammer spring, and we start out by placing the retaining pin back into the handle, and then use the hook to reach in and grab the spring and carefully stretch the spring just to the point where it will hook over the retaining pin. Replace the cover. Put a half cock on the hammer. And reassemble the gun. Once you've got it all put together, rack the slide a couple times and make sure everything works. Take a look around the bench, see if there's any parts left over. If there are, well, what can I say?